August 2005, the New Orleans area is preparing itself for Hurricane Katrina. This disaster is going to be the worst that the United States has ever faced. But before we go into that, let's talk about how it all started out. Hurricane Katrina initially formed over the Bahamas. At the time, it started out simply as a tropical storm. The Gulf of Mexico's hot waters continued to increase the hurricane's power. This Category 3 hurricane initially hit Florida, but the destruction did not stop there. As Hurricane Katrina made its way back out into the Gulf, strengthening into what we all know as a Category 5 hurricane. With its newfound strength, the hurricane began to make landfall in the New Orleans area. This time, however, it was a Category 5 hurricane, but not just any Category 5. It was one of the most powerful hurricanes that the world had ever seen. At its top speed, it was possessing winds that moved up to 275 kilometers per hour. The hurricane completely overwhelmed the levee system that held back the waters.
There's a car. We got a car that's getting ready to come right in the lobby now. We got a car in our lobby here. Doors are breaking.
As a result of this poor levee system, by the end of the hurricane, over 80% of the entire New Orleans area was completely underwater.
5 a.m., the electricity went off, and the house was shaking. It sounded like the walls were trying to just fall apart, and it was a scary feeling, and I started to feel like I was in a coffin. About an hour to 2 hours later, there was water, and it never stopped coming in, and it continued to rise, and it continued to rise. And I was thinking, if my house is 4 feet off the ground and the water is in my house, I'm only 5'1", and it's in my house about 2 feet. There's no way that I'm getting outside without going for a nice swim. The water itself was black, so you couldn't even see through it when it was daylight.
After the hurricane concluded, it was no better than when the hurricane was still raging on. Many people who sought refuge in the Astrodome were left with poor conditions, no sanitization, disease, infection, bacteria, everything. Many people were sick as a result of the poor conditions in the Astrodome, and those who were not evacuated, who stayed in their houses, were left with no shelter and disease-filled water. In the New Orleans area felt abandoned by their government, and rightfully so. It took a very considerable amount of time for any sort of widespread help to be found. The hurricane completely overwhelmed the levee system that held back the waters. As a result of this poor levee system, by the end of the hurricane, over 80% of the entire New Orleans area was completely underwater. Over 1,800 people lost their lives as a result of the Hurricane Katrina disaster, and many more were left homeless, without food, shelter, and in most cases, a future.